I'm Juan Francisco, and I'm a psychic medium. I'm here with you to explore your intuition, the supernatural, and self-empowerment. This is Third Eye Sight. Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Third Eye Sight. I want to focus on spirituality and the human body and body image. Why am I focusing on this? Well, if you're following me on Instagram, on social media, you might be able to tell that I am about to launch my life coaching business. And one of my focuses is going to be body image, particularly, for gay men. But I want to work on different kinds of people on the topic of body image. And I want to be very transparent because I'm going through a little journey right now of discovering what the direction of this podcast is going to be. And I feel some grief about it because I started Third Eye Sight in 2021 with a focus on psychic abilities and mediumship, especially mediumship, and going to cemeteries and doing live investigations for the podcast and talking to other psychics and intuitives, talking to a paranormal, I can't think of it. Science and the paranormal combined. I can't think of the word right now. I have had so much fun doing all these kinds of interviews and focusing on these topics. And yet I feel myself evolving and shifting into something a little different. I still want to focus on psychic abilities and intuition. That is not going away. And this podcast, folks, is not going away. But I want to introduce some more very human topics. Something I've always shared on this podcast is that as much as I like to focus on the spiritual, it's important for me to integrate the spiritual into the human everyday life, everyday living. I also always say that we have come to this planet, we've come into these human bodies for a reason, to live human lives, not just to escape to the spiritual, not just to use spirituality as an escape to bypass our human problems. Life coaching is a way for me to hit at the human issues, the human struggles, and integrate a spiritual approach to them when the client feels comfortable with that. So naturally, I want this podcast to evolve in that direction. What it's going to look like, I don't know. How is it going to feel different? I don't know. But in the next 2 months, you can expect a shift in the podcast. And it's interesting how this shift is going to reflect the personal shift I've experienced that I've discussed with you all in previous podcast episodes in the last month or two. A shift that involved me feeling like right now I'm meant to focus on my humanness without forgetting about mediumship and psychic abilities. I had a mediumship reading last week with a client. That was wonderful. This is something I still want to do. And this is something that you will still be able to do with me. But I do want to add empowerment coach to my title. Empowerment coach and psychic medium. And I want to somehow talk about both things in the same breath. Or give some time to one, some time to the other on this podcast. I'm excited, but I'm also a little worried because those are two very different topics. Yes, I can see a bridge between them, that they both intersect is this point where we can talk about living your life intuitively, living your life with authenticity. And there's no better way to tap into your intuition by first grounding yourself in your own authenticity, right? So I can see the bridges. It's just about what are those bridges going to be made of? What kinds of bricks, what kinds of stone, what kinds of wires are going to put these bridges together? And those nuts and bolts and bricks and wires and cement. That is going to determine what I'm going to talk about on this podcast. So I need to think of a plan. I need to come up with a plan. I need to be a man with a plan. So stay tuned, all right? But I thought for this episode, I could create one of those little bridges. Maybe lily pads for now on a pond. And I want to talk about body image and spiritual culture as we see it on the gram, on TikTok. So there have been times when I've been scrolling through Instagram and TikTok and other social media feeds, and I see women with flowy outfits, beautiful, flowy, colorful outfits, good skin, beautiful background settings in nature, or maybe it's a beautiful hotel or a resort, drinking an organic juice, a green-looking organic juice. And as I'm focusing more and more in my work on body image, I am considering, are there ways that the spiritual, I'll call it industry, although it feels icky to call it that the spiritual industry is perpetuating body image ideas that maybe don't serve everybody? I'm not going to go so much into race in this podcast, but that is a very real thing. You know, you could have a black woman or a Latina woman doing the same kind of work as another woman who happens to be white, but they'll be received very differently because of some biases about spiritual practices, maybe witchcraft, and stereotypes that people attribute to certain kinds of people. That is territory I won't cross into in this episode, but that's something that I do want to say out loud because it is important we recognize that is something that as a culture we create as an obstacle for many women of color, people of color. When it comes to the way somebody looks, the way they present themselves on social media, sometimes it could come across when we see certain types of content as this person is skinny, therefore they are quote unquote healthy. They're drinking certain kinds of things. They're doing certain kinds of body stretches. And they're doing a prayer. They're burning white sage and all these things. They look peaceful and they must have it all together because they look great. They look peaceful. They're a spiritual guru. They're a spiritual teacher. They're a psychic. They must have their shit together, right? And what I want us to be conscious of is there's nothing wrong with what those people are doing in and of themselves. In and of itself, rather. But what I also want us to be conscious of is not to let those images, not to let that vibe define what it means to be spiritual and physically healthy. And I want to challenge you by saying that you don't have to be physically healthy to be spiritual. By default, you are a spiritual being. There's nothing you can do to change that. Now, are there certain kinds of habits, certain kinds of behaviors related to your physical body that could get in the way of you being aware of your spiritual nature, aware of your spiritual connection to God, to the universe? Yes, that's for you. Ooh, hit my microphone. That is for you to determine what those blocks are for you, not for anybody else to determine. That's the key. And the next thing I want to say is spiritual practice, spiritual lifestyle becomes spiritual judgment when we start to say, you must do this to be spiritual. You must do that to be connected to God. That's when it crosses into judgment rather than spiritual practice. And I want to emphasize the beauty of choice. You get to choose what keeps you spiritually grounded, what keeps you spiritually connected. You can choose to drink an organic juice, or you can have a burger and fries. You can choose to stretch your body and go to the gym, or you can sit on your couch and chill and relax. You can choose to be completely sober from alcohol, or you can go out on Saturday night and have a couple of drinks with your friends. This is outside the context of addiction. That's a whole other story. Choice. We come here with free will choice. This idea that in order to be spiritually attuned, you must not ever have a glass of wine, not ever eat something with saturated fats. Now look, this past week I had a burger and fries and some chicken nuggets and a soda because I love to eat, and I love to eat some junk food once in a while. I personally want to curb that behavior because I notice that as I'm doing that once a week, sometimes I just don't feel good. And I want to change that. I want to change how I feel. So I'm going to change maybe the amount of food I eat in one sitting or the amount of junk food I eat in a week. That's my choice. Now, whether or not I make that choice, do I feel like it impacts my spiritual practice or my spiritual connection to God? Absolutely not. For the next person, for someone else, it may. That's okay. They can make that decision for themselves. Choice. We have a choice. And I'll say it again. If we start to tell people or start to give off this vibe that in order to be spiritual, in order to be spiritually happy, you must do X, Y, Z, it's judgment, not practice. Can't tell you people I've met in spiritual circles who seem to have it together. Maybe they look pretty, whatever that means. Maybe they do the meditation, but they're not. Oh, I hate saying this, but they're not really. I wouldn't sit next to them at a dinner table because they gave off a negative vibe, even though they did all these things. What happens on the outside does not always reflect what happens on the inside. I just had a horrible metaphor to use, and I don't mean it to be mean, but you can put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig, right? Someone could be naturally beautiful, okay? I want to clarify myself. Someone could be naturally beautiful, but they are so mean. And they could cake on all the makeup they want. They can go to the gym and get shredded, get some six-pack abs, have bulging biceps, but they're still not a nice person. And again, it's just putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. And how does that make that person spiritually superior to me? Spiritually superior to you? No one is spiritually superior to anyone. The only being who's spiritually superior is God. But even that's debatable because we are all pieces of God. We're all co-creators with God. But if I had to choose any being who's spiritually superior, I would say God. Just for the sake of this argument. Sometimes also, what happens on the outside, yes, can be a reflection of what happens on the inside. But the outside doesn't live on its own. There is a part of the outside of you, the expression of you. Yes, it's how you dress, it's how you carry yourself, how you walk with confidence, how you take care of yourself, but it's also how you treat people. So if you look the part, but you don't act the part, that's not being you're not holistically caring for yourself. If you act the part and you look the part in a way that serves you, and when I say the part, I'm not defining what that means. It's just whatever, just contentment and treating people well. If you act it and look it, you're walking the talk and you're practicing. You're practicing what it is to be a human who's present, a human who's grounded, a human who is kind to people, a human who is happy being themselves. Period. And you're not dolling yourself up. You're not going to the gym to get six-pack abs because you want people to be impressed by you or to love you or to like you. You're doing it because it makes you happy and it grounds you in some way or helps you feel proud of yourself. And that's where it stops for you. And you're treating other people well, not because you want to get their approval, not because you want to be liked by them, because you know it's the right thing to do. So it's all about intention. It goes back to intention. That's what matters here. And I want to acknowledge that this gets really tricky, right? Because look, I like to look good. I like to look good and feel good in my body. And there are days when I don't feel good in my body. And I have to remind myself that that is just a thought, an old thought pattern. And I know that what I look like doesn't give me value or worth, but I still care about what I look like. And so we can hold two truths at once. That's okay. But what matters is, am I treating people well, or am I putting myself on a pedestal? Am I putting someone else on a pedestal? That's when practice becomes judgment. If this stuff is resonating with you, I just want to quickly let you know that I would love to work with people on this topic of body image and spirituality. And if spirituality is not something you want to delve into, just body image. And you can sign up for coaching with me at juanfrancisco.co. And the first 10 coaching clients get 15% off a session, these sessions with me. It's going to be a package of sessions. And if a package isn't the right thing for you, let's talk. Reach out to me. Go to my contact form. I want to go into my third and last point here. And I kind of teased it a little bit just now because there are different points of view from a spiritual perspective that I've heard. There's be just the way God made you. You should be happy the way God made you. Don't make any adjustments. Don't do anything, period. Versus getting work done, getting Botox, cosmetic surgery, building muscle mass at the gym. And I personally grew up with some messages coming from adults in my life that told me, if God loves you just the way you are, just do that. And I agree. For those watching on YouTube, the reason I made a face is because, again, there's so much nuance. And again, it comes down to choice. Putting people in this box of just be the way you are, the way you were when you came out of the womb, just be like that. It doesn't give people the choice. It forces people to not do anything about anything when it comes to their looks or the way they feel in their body. And I'm not in the business of telling people you need to get Botox. Never would say that to anybody. I had someone say that to me once, actually. Some guy I was talking to a long time ago told me, I could use some in between my eyebrows. I'm like, and meanwhile, he's 27 years old getting Botox. 27 years old. So young. I can't even imagine it. But anyways, that's okay. I can have my opinion about that. He can do whatever he wants. Does that make him less than I am, more than I am? Absolutely not. Back to topic. I'm not in the business of telling people you need to get something done on your face, on your body. No, it's none of my business. I'm also not in the business of telling people don't get anything done. Because this comes down to choice. Your body, your temple, your property. You get to doll it up, decorate it however way you want to. And where do we draw the line anyways? If we take on this position of you have to be the way God made you. I grew up with braces for 4 years because my teeth were not too cute. And my parents decided to get me braces. And I'm happy they did. Do we not get kids braces? Do we not get kids acne medication or acne topical medication? Do we not dye our hair, cut our hair, trim our beards? Where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? And I'll say again, Spiritual practice becomes judgment when we say, you must do this. And this is all about not having judgment, being guilt-free. Everyone has opinions. They're going to have opinions about people not getting work done or people getting too much work done. I may have opinions myself because I'm human. I'll admit that. Does my opinion matter? No. It doesn't. Bottom line, when it comes to you and your body, what you do to make adjustments to it, what you do to make it stronger, what you do to just keep the body you've always had since you were young, the same type of athletic practice or same type of movement practice, whatever it is that you do, as long as you're not hurting yourself, are you happy? Are you content? That's all that matters. And remembering that you cannot make yourself a more spiritual being or make yourself less of a spiritual being when it comes to how you treat your body. Not a lot of people are not going to like me saying that because I notice there is a strong pull in the spiritual world towards health is wealth, I believe health is wealth. Because if I have my health, there's a lot of privilege there that I have. And I feel my best when I'm healthy. But health looks different to different people. Wealth looks different to different people. They get to determine that. You get to determine what healthy means to you. Follow the science. Yes, follow the science. It's important to do that. Knowing what is healthy foods to eat for the human body, that's important. But even then, if you were to not follow the directions of a doctor, right? Does that make you less spiritual? No. Should you follow directions of a doctor? I believe you should. But that's the life I want to live. I can't tell other people how to live their life. Like I've said, here's a good example. Not a direct tie-in to body image, but when COVID was going on and I told folks I got the COVID vaccine, a lot of psychics were like, don't get the COVID vaccine. There's blah, blah, blah in it. I heard lots of things. And I said, I got it for myself because I have asthma and I care about the people around me and not spreading things to them. I got it for myself. I hope other people get it too, but you got to talk to your doctor. Just talk to your doctor. When it comes to your body, no one else gets to tell you how to look, what's healthy for you, unless they're a professional. So please seek out a professional, whether it's a trainer at the gym or a doctor to track your sugar, whatever it is. Seek out the professionals. Don't even listen to me. Don't make me the expert. Please don't make me your expert because I don't know jack shit. Okay? I'm trying to figure it out myself. I'm trying to figure out how to keep myself healthy for myself. All that matters is that you are happy and you're not harming yourself. And you're listening to the right professionals for your body and your state in life. That's all that matters. All this chatter on the internet, on social media about this is what healthy looks like, and someone is like in prayer hands on top of a mountain with like white sage at their feet and they're skinny, and they get to do that. That's their choice. And maybe they're not even trying to perpetuate anything. But because we live in the culture we live in where it has valued people of smaller size, it's easy for us to get sucked into these ideas when we see those images. Those images themselves are not the problem most of the time. It's what we've been taught and how it's like we've been given this lens through which to see this kind of content and images. Someone's just living their life on a mountain and they happen to be thin. But then some of us who grew up in a lot of this culture of body shaming will interpret these images that way and we start to compare ourselves. And that's what I'm encouraging you not to do. And, if you need to seek a therapist to work through this, like I did for my body image dysmorphia, seek out a therapist. If you need to see a coach to talk about what goals you have moving forward to challenge these thought patterns, see a coach. At the end of the day, you have to be happy. And it doesn't matter if you're of small size or large size, that does not take away your spiritual nature at all. Whether or not you drink Coca-Cola or any kind of soda or burger does not change the fact that you are spiritually connected to all that is. I can go on and on about this topic. This is why I'm coaching on body image, because I'm obviously passionate about it. And there are so many nuances, like I said, because it really is up to you. It's your choice. It's your choice how you want to express yourself physically, how you want to look. And it's your choice how you relate to your spiritual nature, how you relate to God, and what that means for your physical health, how you feel your physical health reflects your spiritual well-being. That's up to you. And I'll say one last time, as long as you're talking to the right professionals to help you be the healthiest that you can be for yourself, that's all that matters. I'll see you on the next episode, and please reach out if you have any questions about my coaching, and if you want to collaborate. I'm open to collaborations. If you're someone who is passionate about body image or has a story to share about your own body image journey, reach out to me on my website. If you are a professional in this space, I would love to talk to you. Reach out. I'll see you next week. This podcast is really about helping you trust your own intuition and step into your power. If you'd like to work with me directly, you can learn more at juanfrancisco.co. That's juanfrancisco.co. And please remember to subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend.